In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you my 10 top tips to supercharge your team. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Hope you're all doing well today. And today I thought I'd just do a bit of a quick blast just about some things that we're hearing at the moment. Now, we know that there's 3 things you need to create, build, and run a successful MSP or business per se. First thing's data. Understanding your data, your metrics, your KPIs, whatever you want to call them, what's working well, what's not working well, your profitability, your numbers, and all of that jazz. Number one, otherwise you won't be able to make any decent decisions on investments or anything like that. Second thing is a working sales and marketing engine, making sure that you've got fresh leads coming in. So yes, we've got an amazing opportunity to have some referrals, but it's all about the fresh leads to help supercharge accelerate your growth in the profitability of your business. And the third thing is the ability to build a great team. Now, here we go. This is what this podcast is all about. So the ability to build a great team is sometimes a real clunky thing for many MSPs because they come from a technical background and because asking people to do things, and particularly when they're different types of people, referring back to disc profiling and all that sort of thing, can be a little bit awkward and it can be a little bit confrontational sometimes, and it can be quite difficult as well. So how do I get the best out of my people? And on the back end of that as well is, why is my MSP sometimes a little bit unorganized? Because if you're ever feeling like you're a little bit frantic, you're running around, you're doing all of the work and everything like that, then that's probably because you are. And as I say, if you think you're right, or you think you're wrong, you're probably right. So in this episode, we're going to help you with our top 10 tips, like a nice top 10 tips to help you supercharge your team. You know, at the time of recording, beginning of October 23, we've got, good couple of 3 months left to the end of the year. Hit those targets, make sure we're getting where we need to be. And in this episode, we're going to be sharing with you some of those tips that can help you to get your business from being flat and unorganized to making it nice and structured and scalable. And it takes you from being herding your teams to help you leading the teams. We talk an awful lot about leadership, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's the way to get a lot of information out of your head, a way to get your teams aligned. It's a way to help you go faster, empower your teams, build your employee engagement, and all of this great stuff that makes life easy. And it makes life a bit more fun because you'll be able to spend more time with your friends and your family. So, we hear a lot of stories in the Growth Hub about clients that come in and they don't admit it, but some of them are quite scared about handling conflict. They're scared about how to have a difficult conversation. They're scared about how to actually approach one-to-ones and why do I need to do it, and I can't be bothered and I'm busy enough as it is. But lo and behold, normally after about 2 or 3 months after the conversation, or 2 or 3 months after joining the Growth Hub, and they listen to other people and they understand the methodologies and the tactics that people are using to help get more out of their team, guess what happens? All of a sudden, you then start to build that confidence as a leader in your organization. You then start to have quality conversations, and people realize that there's change ahead, and positive change ahead, change that they should be enthused about, change that they should be excited about, and change that they will be rewarded about. When things get, not quite sure, my voice went up in the high pitch there, but people get rewarded because they get excited about where the business is going. And it's down to you to share with them where the business is going. And then it's also down to you to build, develop, and grow your team so that they become that high-performing team. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. If you are listening to this near a pen and paper, get it out so you can make some notes. If you aren't, then get your phone out. If you're driving, don't worry, we'll put all this in the show notes, and you'll be able to come back and re-listen to it. So number one, always start at the top, and it's always around planning out and visualizing your future structure. Now, many MSPs have got a flat structure. And the reason for that is either when they started up or when they bought their companies or whatever it might have been at the beginning, you normally line it up with technicians. You get busy, buy another tech, busy, you get another tech, busy, you get another tech. One person might bubble up as a bit of a senior tech. You might get to a boiling point where you think, I can't manage all these techs. And then they'll start, then you might bring in an SDM or someone like that to help manage the team. But tech team is normally the first one to grow, swell and scale as the business grows. However, what sometimes happens is you will end up with a technician and he might do a little bit of help desk, he might do a bit of support, and then he might do a bit of projects and he might do some quotes, and then you might bring someone else in and they might do, I don't know, a bit more of an admin role. They might end up doing some triaging of calls, which is something that we hear a little bit about. But some of the traps that we sometimes hear and see is when people start to then blend across what we call disciplines. So if you've got your help desk, you've got your projects team, you've got your sales team, your account management team, your marketing, finance, admin, that sort of thing going across a typical MSP. But knowing where your business is today and knowing where you want your business to be in 3 years' time is really important to make sure that you've got that future plan, because then you can bring people up from within, you can help promote them, train them, build up their skills matrix so they can either fit into a senior position or whatever that might be. Or you might know that you need to bring in somebody who's got those skills, who sits above. But it's really important that you understand where your next hire is going to be, how much it's going to cost you. And when you get to a certain level of, clients, leads, whatever it might be, endpoints, et cetera, then that is then when you're going to need to bring those people in. And if you've got that structure planned out, then that will be the strategic growth for the structure, which is really good. So make sure you've got that real clear. It's not a very difficult exercise to do, in fairness. So make sure you've got that nice and planned out. The next one is around setting your kind of quarterly goals and then rolling them back down to 60 and 30 days. With any growth plan to build a house, plan to go on holiday, whatever it might be, it's really important that you go far out to start with, get excited and feel what that vision looks like, feel what the success looks like in all parts of the plan. But you need to set these goals and you need to share them with your team. And it's really important that you share them with them, because then they feel engaged. Now, you don't really, if you don't want to go into the 90-day plan with them, you don't need to do a 90-day plan. But depending on how often you meet up with your organization, your team, share with them company updates and all of that kind of good stuff, then you might find that in actual fact, you might just want to share with them the 30 days. Hey guys, this is the focus for the next 30 days. Or you might go, this is the next focus for the next 90 days. But when you tell people that you are what you're doing, where the business is going, they will get excited about it. They will feel excited about it, and they'll understand all the hard work and the stress and the strain and where it's going. And luckily, some of the rewards as well while they are doing that. So that's number 2. Make sure you're setting your 30, 60, 90-day plans. Number 3 is around the values of your organization. We talk about this mainly when we're toggling it with the vision and the mission in the business. But I just want to talk about the values for a minute. So the values are really important because it's kind of who you are, and it helps define the culture of your organization. Not only does it help you understand who you want to be as an existing business, but it also helps you understand who you want to recruit and what types of people you want to recruit, and also what types of clients you want to recruit as well. So make sure that you bring your values alive. Make sure you've got them designed. Make sure you've got them, identified, stuck on the wall so people know who they are. And then what you can do with them is you can then do 2 things. You can reward against good behavior towards those values, and always try and put this into your one-to-ones and your target setting, your appraisal systems and all of that kind of good stuff. But also, if somebody doesn't meet or doesn't live the company values and is rude to a customer, for example, then you can say, hey, rather than you saying something along the lines of, hey, John, the work you did the other day, I'm really annoyed about it because you upset that customer, blah, blah, blah. It's got the word I in it. Okay. So it gets really personal and people start getting very emotional about those sorts of things. Whereas if you use your company values, you then turn around to them and go, John, the way you spoke to that customer the other day doesn't really line up with our company values and the way that our business operates. And I just want to have a little chat with you just to see if that was exactly what you meant to do, and put it back onto them. So bringing your values alive, you could even have value champions and all sorts of things like that. But it's really important identifying your values, keeping them alive, living the values as well as a leader. Really important. Almost missed that, but I can't have an 11-point podcast because I've got 10 planned out. But let's do this as 3A then, which is around the shadow of the leader. So making sure that you're leading that team with those values as well. Number 4, everyone's busy, right? Busy being busy. Why are we busy? We're busy because a lot of the time we like to meddle. A lot of the time we, as MSP business owners, want to get involved in things because you don't trust other people to do a job as good as you. You don't trust them to talk to that client because it's your longest serving client. And if someone else dare talk to them, my God, they're going to leave. So number 4 is around assessing what's taking up your time and doing a bit of a time audit. Have a little look at what you're doing, having a little look at, we talk about 10, 100, £1,000 tasks, £1,000 task or £1,000 per hour value strategic task, and £10 task obviously are the lower level emails, social media posting, answering quick calls, that sort of stuff. So understanding and assessing what's taking up your time. Look at where you can delegate, look at where you can dump and things that you don't need to do, and just completely trash off. Great little matrix we use sometimes called the Eisenhower matrix, which is a very simple thing. What's urgent, not important, and all of that kind of good stuff. So have a look at what's taking up your time and making sure that you're in a good place, because then you can then pass on some of the tasks to your team, help them to get more excited, help them take more accountability, give them more ownership. But you can also keep hold of the the reins as well to make sure that you're not going to be detrimental in giving people things that they're not trained to do. Another shadow of the leader thing about number 5 is actually communicating to the business and to your teams that we're going on a shift change here. We're going to do things a bit differently. We're going on a growth plan. We're going on a deliberate growth plan to take this business from, maybe 750 to £1 million in the next year or next 2 years. And these are the things that we're going to be doing differently. These are the things I'm going to be doing differently as a leader. And these are the things we need to be doing differently as a team. So we need to make sure that we're communicating, again, a little bit of the shadow of leads coming in there, resetting the ways that we're doing. And what that helps you do is wipe the slate clean on what was acceptable before is not as acceptable now. One of my coaches many, many years ago told me and said to me, what got you here is not going to get you there. So the things and the systems and the processes and the way that you did things that got you to today is not going to be the things that are going to take you forwards because of a couple of things. Number one, external environments, look at the pandemic, what that's done. Some people are now starting to see a bit of a slowdown, buying patterns, economies, the way that people are. We were talking the other day about millennials, which was really funny because in actual fact, many of our clients are now millennials, whereas a few years ago, it was all the kids at school, but then that just goes to show how old we are. But understanding and making sure that you're communicating is a key thing. It's number one, it's free, right? And number 2, it's the best way to help build engagement and a good culture through your organization. Because when you communicate and be a bit vulnerable to your team, guess what happens? That will come back the other way and they'll say, hey, Ian, I think there's something we could be doing a little bit better here, rather than just sitting there going, God, this is a load of crap. I don't want to be doing this anymore. So that's number 5, halfway point. Number 6, find your A players and correctly delegate and do not dump. Right. What are A players? A players are the players you want working in your organization who are just behind you in their enthusiasm, their passion, their love, their care for the business. You can imagine this can go down to any grade you want in particular, but we generally take it down to kind of a C grade, which are people who are just quite happy to come in, do their job, go home, watch EastEnders, play a bit of Call of Duty, whatever it is, come in the next day and do exactly the same thing. Don't have a lot of drive in them, which is fine because you do need people like that in your team. But your A players are going to be the ones that you want to be nurturing. Your A players are going to be the ones that you want to be developing into leaders, because as soon as they start to become, a little leveraged version of you, then that means you can be doing less work. You can pass more work onto them. You can pass the £100 tasks onto them while you then focus on the £1,000 tasks. And if you spent every day on business development, strategic relationships, sorting out all your commercials and all of that great stuff, how amazing and how quickly do you think your business would grow rather than you getting stuck and caught up in the weeds all day? So find your A players, delegate correctly. Please delegate correctly. Don't dump. Dumping is when you're just trying to get rid of stuff. If you go through the matrix I talked about a little bit earlier on, the Eisenhower matrix, that will help you to work out what you don't need to do, what's on your to-do list that just is not going to be serving you. So correctly delegate. Make sure they've got the skills to do the job. Make sure you've given them the bandwidth. Make sure they know what winning looks like and what losing looks like, and make sure that they're really comfortable with the task that you've given them to do. And let them fail as well. I was talking to Dan Scott a little while ago at the Managed Service Summit, and he was giving me. I asked him a couple of questions, and he gave me some great little tips from his point of view. And one of the things was about, don't all of a sudden, when things start going wrong after you've delegated to someone, don't all of a sudden start to become the superhero. Let them make a failure. Go in, or let them fail or make a little bit of a mistake. Go in and offer a bit of advice, and then step back. And I know it sounds really simple, but so many times, I'll do that. Leave that with me. You can't do that. I'm going to deal with this. I'll finish it off. And I've literally just got off a call with some of our clients saying exactly the same thing. Now, let people fail. Let them make mistakes. Let them know where their boundaries are. But don't go in and just all of a sudden become the fourth emergency service, even though I think that is the AA, isn't it? The fifth emergency service then. Make sure that you're giving people the opportunity to recover and to step back from when they've when they make a bit of a mistake, or they make they don't do something the right quality that you want them to do. Number 7 is make sure we've got the right people in the right roles. We see this so many times when people come into the Growth Hub. They come in and they've got a bag of licorice all sorts as their team and their organisation structure. You've got some good guys, you've got some bad guys, you've got when I say guys, I mean men and women, different types of people. So now's the time to assess the roles that you want in your business. Guess what? Go back to number 1, where you're planning out your future vision. Make sure that you're looking at their competencies technically. Make sure you're looking at their behaviours, how they're lining up against the values. Now I realise I'm absolutely fire hosing you, but I'm sure you can stop this and rewind it and take some more notes. And also their attitude as well, their attitude to learning, innovation, getting things right, going over and above with that customer whose system's gone down on a Friday night and everyone stayed late to go and fix it rather than all rush home to the pub. Right people's right role, absolutely critical. And we get those people in the right place. They become empowered and your engagement goes up and everyone starts making their place a happier place to work. Now, we kind of started this podcast off saying, look, you've got a couple of months left. You can run this over quite many months itself, but treat this as a little bit of a project. When you're changing and when you'll start all of a sudden doing things with leadership, particularly if the one thing you take out of this podcast is, I haven't said it yet, but I'll say it now and ruin my whole show structure. It's about one-to-ones, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Just do one thing at a time. Do 1 or 2 things, even maybe 3 things well, rather than try and do everything all at once. And that's the most important thing. Just take a couple of things that are resonating out of this podcast and just do those 1 or 2 things. And I'd love to hear how you get on. Just drop me a message on LinkedIn. We get quite a few messages about the podcast on LinkedIn. So make sure that you're, set it up as a bit of a project. Don't set yourself up to fail as a leader on these things here. Set up expectations exchanges. I know what I want you to do. You know what I want you to do. We're clear on that. We've had a conversation on it. You've read it back to me and we're really clear what good looks like and what poor looks like. And, and within those metrics, make sure you set those times when you can check in with them to check in to see how they're doing, see if they need any help, see if they need any support. The worst thing you could possibly do is when you ask someone, hey, what help do you need? And they turn around to you after they've made a mistake and after they've turned around and gone, oh, well, actually need this help, and that's help. And it's like going, why didn't you ask for that help before? This is the time when we all need to work together rather than just, making mistakes and then all of a sudden realizing we've got to then backtrack and get a whole load of training to do the thing right in the first place. So number 9 is, yes, engage, connect with your team, have regular stand-ups and one-to-ones. Communication, again, absolutely free. Individual communication, they love it. Why? Because they feel valued. They feel valued, they feel cared about, they feel that you've got their back, you're interested in them, and all of this kind of great stuff. Engage with them, ask them, run some exercises with them, ask them, hey, what do you think's going really well in the business? What's not going well? What could we be doing better? And have that open and vulnerable relationship with them so that you can build with them these great relationships that will stand the test of time. People will come into the organization and then all of a sudden they'll start behaving the way that people are behaving in the organization. And that's how you build cultures. That's how you build great culture. You must see some of these MSPs who plaster themselves all over LinkedIn, and they're all out having bowling or going doing some charity work or going doing something, for the local community. And they look like they're enjoying themselves and they're all a great team. And that's because their leader has spent a lot of time in getting everything organized and making sure that they focus on the culture. Goes back to the values, that one. So if you're having regular stand-ups or monthly meetings or quarterly meetings, make sure you do it. If you say you're going to have a one-to-one, make sure you do it. Do what you say you're going to do is one of the best bits of advice someone gave me when I was about 26, when I started on my leadership journey. Just do what you say you're going to do. That doesn't mean do everything that everyone asks you to do. If you say you're going to do something, then do it, because if you don't, it's the easy way for you to lose trust and rapport with your team and customers as well. In fairness, we could probably pick that one up and drop it into a sales and marketing webinar podcast. We probably will. Anyway, last but not least, 10, reward and recognize those who thrive and support them and train them as and when you need to. Now, the thing with reward and recognition is making sure it's appropriate for the individual. Now, some people would love to be rewarded on stage with a raucous applause and a bunch of flowers and a bottle of champagne and all of this sort of stuff. Other people would run to the hills if they thought they were going to be rewarded like that. So the thing about reward is make sure that the reward you're giving them is valued and it's something that's interesting. If it's time off, if someone's just had a new child or a new baby or something like that, that's going to be much more valuable to them than any money. Making sure that if you're going to reward people in the office, in an open office, that they're going to receive it and they're going to be comfortable. Otherwise, they might not even go that hard to try and get that reward in the future. So make sure that you recognize them. Again, this is really easy. Just pin it back to the values and get the values back on what you need to do with that. So reward and recognition is the final one. And that is your top 10 tips on how to supercharge you and your team, in fairness. I just want to share a little bit of a story with one of our clients who's literally just put, and it wasn't by accident, it was by deliberation, although it wasn't kind of planned in terms of this, just literally put 400K on his bottom line in the last year. 3 new team members, because he focused on getting excited, falling back in love with his business and understanding what he needed to do as a leader. No sales and marketing, no deliberate going out there and doing all of that kind of good stuff, which we know works so well. But he just dackered down on his vision, on his mission, on what he wanted out of the business, how he was kind of going to influence that. And then supporting his team. He just worked really, really hard on doing the one-to-ones, even though to start with he didn't believe it was right, setting the targets, even though it was the clunkiest thing he'd ever done and he hated doing it. But now everybody is like autonomous. He kind of like when he goes in the office, he gets time to breathe and work. People are taking ownership, accountability. They're smiling. One of our clients says, how many teeth have you seen today? How many people are smiling because you can see their teeth? We want to see more teeth. It's all about the smile. So there's always a nice, opportunity there to just work through these sort of things that Stuart and I talk about every single day on a step-by-step basis. Pick them up. Even if you've only taken one thing out of this podcast, then it's been an absolute brilliant use of my time and your time listening. So the opportunity, get the organization in place, build a resilient structure. It's going to help you to build accountable people and have that system flow. People know what they're going to want to be doing. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to come into work. Remember, if you give someone a pay rise, the influence of a pay rise or the impact of a pay rise only lasts for 3 months. And then they get used to spending that sort of money and then they're back off doing what they're doing again. Your team's going to flow. You're going to get less involved. You're going to be happier because you're not going to be so stressed getting caught up in stuff that everybody else should be dealing with. And then you'll be ready to scale your MSP with a bucket load of confidence. Just before I shoot off, I just want to share with you an episode we recently recorded, which was how to reconnect with your team. And this was basically, we shot this after the holiday period. So it's how do we reconnect? So you might find that you're doing some of this stuff, but if you go and listen to episode 114, I shared with you how to reconnect with your team and build those great connections that builds the rapport and the trust within within your business. So that is it from me today. If you have loved this podcast and taken some great value from this, but also it's kind of resonated in a couple of things, and you need to do something to help get your business ready for success in 2024, then I'm going to put a link to our Scale with Confidence MSP Mastery quiz in the show notes. Hit that link. Take yourself a quiz. It gives you a score, it shares with you what you need to be doing, helps you understand what those one or two little tactics you need to be doing to drive your business forwards. Be interesting to see, how you think you'd score against how you actually do score. It's a lot of intelligence in the back of there that we've built in to help it become massive value for yourselves. And as always, if there's a niggle in your head, again, if you think you're wrong, you think you're right, you're probably right, and you want to get in contact and just have a chat with myself or Stuart, then just reach out to us on LinkedIn and or hit the website, mspgrowthhub.com, hit the contact button, and we're more than happy to have a conversation and see what's going on in your world. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you're having a great week. When does it come out? Monday. I hope you had a great weekend is what I'm going to say, and have a great week ahead. But if you're listening in the middle of the week, I hope you're having a great week. Look forward to catching up with you all soon. You take care and be good. See you soon. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.